Hi, I'm Amy Stasiewicz, and welcome to the Minutes. Thanks for tuning in. It's great to have you along on the Minutes for the week of August 17th. This is the City of Thunder Bay podcast. The Minutes looks at what happened at Thunder Bay City Council. You can find the Minutes wherever you get your podcasts, including our YouTube channel and our website, thunderbay.ca/theminutes. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. Last week, City Council met on Tuesday, August 11th. We'll go over the key highlights from this meeting, and later we'll feature part 2 of my interview with Robert Wark, Division Chief of Administration and Community Emergency Management Coordinator with Thunder Bay Fire Rescue. So let's get started. Like all council and standing committee meetings, the meeting began with a land acknowledgement. City Council meetings open with the national anthem, performed by a guest or local group. If you're interested in being one of the performers, you can find out more at thunderbay.ca/council. To start off the council meeting, a public meeting was held to consider zoning amendments for 791 Arundel Street and 144 Fanshawe Street, two city-owned properties allocated for new housing development. For Arundel Street, Planning Services recommended changes that would allow the construction of two 7-story apartment buildings with approximately 360 homes. Staff reported that technical studies found acceptable servicing capacity, manageable traffic impacts, and no significant environmental concerns. While residents raised concerns about traffic, parking, building height, privacy, and green space, Planning Services noted that many of these issues would be addressed through the future site plan control process. Following 18 deputations from residents, Council approved the rezoning to an urban mid-rise zone. Council then considered a similar application for Fanshawe Street, where a zoning amendment was requested to permit a 6-story apartment building with approximately 150 homes. Planning staff advised that the development is consistent with city planning policies, can be supported by existing infrastructure, and is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. After hearing one deputation, Council approved the rezoning to an urban mid-sized zone. Combined, the two developments have the potential to add approximately 510 new homes to Thunder Bay's housing supply, supporting the city's efforts to address current and future housing needs. Next was the consent agenda items, which included minutes of previous council and standing committee meetings, various applications, and other committee and board minutes. Nothing was removed for discussion, and all consent agenda items were approved by council. Next, council met in a closed session. There was a board appointment, legal matter, and property-related matter brought out into open session. All items were approved by council. Okay, now on to the reports of administration. First was a report on the Compliance Audit Committee Terms of Reference. The city is required under Ontario's Municipal Elections Act to establish a Compliance Audit Committee for each term of council. Administration is recommending the appointment of 3 citizen members for the 2026 to 2030 term, along with approval of the committee's term of reference. The committee's role is to independently review complaints and reports related to municipal election campaign finances and contribution limits. During the current council term, the committee met 3 times and received no requests for audits from the public. City administration is recommending approval to ensure the city meets its legislative requirements ahead of the 2026 municipal election. In the end, council approved the report. The next report of administration was about a Thunder Bay Hydro Corp dividend policy. For the first time, the City of Thunder Bay has received a dividend from Thunder Bay Hydro totaling over $383,000. Administration is recommending that the money be directed to the city's capital general reserve fund, rather than used to reduce taxes. The funds would then help support future infrastructure projects through the annual capital budget process. With the city's infrastructure funding gap estimated at about $31 million per year, administration says this new revenue source can help fund needed investments in roads, facilities, and other municipal assets. The recommendation would also see future Thunder Bay Hydro dividends directed to the reserve fund for future capital projects. City administration believes this approach will provide lasting benefits by reinvesting dividend revenue back into community infrastructure. Council then approved the funding allocation. The next report of administration was an appointment of municipal auditors. Under Ontario's Municipal Act, municipalities are required to appoint an independent auditor every 5 years. City administration is recommending approval, noting that independent audits play an important role in ensuring accountability, transparency, and confidence in the city's financial reporting. In the end, Council approved the auditor appointment. The last report of administration was regarding the resignation of Councillor Shelby Chung. Following the resignation, Council was required to consider how to address the vacant at-large council seat. Under Ontario's Municipal Act, Council had the option of appointing a replacement or leaving the seat vacant. However, because the resignation occurred less than 90 days before the upcoming 2026 municipal election, Council is not required to fill the position. Administration recommended leaving the seat vacant, noting that there are only 2 council meetings and 1 standing committee meeting remaining in the current term. Council approved the recommendation, meaning the at-large seat will remain vacant until the new council is sworn in following the October 2026 election. Council then reviewed a number of petitions and communications, which are essentially requests from city staff to investigate certain matters and return to council with findings, updates, and recommendations at a later date. Some items included northern policing costs and roadwork on Mountain Road and 15th Side Road. Council voted all in favor. Next, Council approved a series of bylaws. The meeting was then adjourned at 1:50 a.m. Okay, so that's it for this week's City Council updates. Next, we'll share part 2 of my interview with Robert Wark, Division Chief of Administration and Community Emergency Management Coordinator with Thunder Bay Fire Rescue, as he discusses the recent wildfires in Northern Ontario and provides insight into how the City of Thunder Bay prepares for emergencies behind the scenes. Okay, so during the recent wildfire activity, what kind of coordination has taken place across Northern Ontario?
So there's a whole host of different ways that it happens, but typically, so from the provincial side, fires are monitored from the MNR, action from the MNR, and that kind of leads them to coordinate with the province. And then when there's an event that happens close to a community, the MNR decides how they're going to action a fire.
Okay.
And then they reach out and say, okay, well, this fire is encroaching closely on, for example, in 2022 or 2021, we had Deer Lake, Poplar Hill, and Pekanjikam in Thunder Bay. So fires encroaching on their community. Indigenous Services Canada, which is a federal agency that overlooks all of the Indigenous communities. The PEOC, which is our Provincial Emergency Operations Center, manned by the individuals in the Emergency Management Ontario.
Yeah. They
decide, okay, we got to do something. And then they start reaching out and saying, okay, we're evacuating Deer Lake, for example.
Yeah.
There's 2,000 people. Where can they go?
Yeah.
And then communities like ours, Toronto, Barrie, other communities along the North Shore will try to step up and assist as best they can.
Yeah.
And then if that means they come here and stay, they come here and stay, or they may come through Thunder Bay and go on to Southern Ontario.
Right, yeah. We've mentioned, but we know misinformation can spread quickly online, especially during emergencies. So what's some advice you would give people about finding accurate and reliable information?
So first place I go is emergencies. Typically, they're always defined as happening locally.
Yeah.
Right? They happen local to wherever they occur. So if it was a flood in the East End, or if it was a wildfire in Riverdale, or if it was a wildfire down Highway 61, they're local to our area. So my first place to gather information would be from the local agencies that are dealing with it.
Yeah.
So the trusted news source for us would be through our emergency information officer, which is ultimately corporate communications, is going to have some say on what's going on.
Yeah.
And the incident commander of the event is going to say, yes, that's appropriate to go out. And then it goes out to the public.
Yeah.
And then once that goes out, it's going to come with other messaging that says, here's an interval for seeing updates.
Yeah.
Or here's where you can get other accurate information.
Yeah.
So one of the ones that happened in the most recent wildfire was there was a lot of people out in the community that were passing around websites that would show you wildland fire maps.
Yeah.
And get a picture of what was happening. It's great, keeps you informed, but it also can generate some anxiety when you look at a map that's very large and has a lot of, we'll say, documented on the screen as fire, but sometimes it's just heat, right? So
Okay.
so it can be anxiety inducing. So it probably wouldn't be something we would immediately say, go look here.
Yeah.
Because it might be more scary for the individual than what's actually happening.
Right.
So
Yeah, 100%.
so clearly from the weather, from the smoke and the cover on the Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
it was pretty scary for a lot of people on Thunder Bay.
Yeah,
right?
it was. I saw those maps.
Yeah, and when you actually looked at it, things were being actioned appropriately, and I would say our risk was very low.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you go outside and you look, it doesn't look like it's low risk at the time.
Yeah.
And there were certain things like the high particulates that would cause issues for people that had difficulty breathing.
Yeah.
Any kind of like pre-existing conditions like asthma would be very difficult to go around and do things during that time.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like definitely in City of Thunder Bay in this situation, obviously we're putting out accurate information. We try to do that the first time. People go in the comment section and have their own opinions, which is fine. But yeah, it's always best to go right to the source for your info. But
Absolutely.
anyways, okay. So for residents listening, what are some simple things they can do to just be prepared for an emergency?
So easiest thing to do, you've heard it before. I think we've talked about it, the 72-hour kit.
Yeah.
The easiest thing to do is be prepared to either shelter in place or leave with some documents. So I always say your 72-hour kit should have enough, and I always forget the number.
Yeah.
I verified it before I came because I wanted to make sure I got this.
Yeah.
So if you had 4 people in your house, your kit should have 2 liters of water per day per person.
Okay.
So if you were accounting for 72 hours, you're
Yeah.
going to need 8 liters for 4 people.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, 12 liters
Yeah.
because 3 days.
Yeah.
So you're going to need 12 liters of water to just to stay where the amount of fluid that you should take in.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have some canned goods. You're going to have some things that are like very shelf stable.
Yeah.
And then you can get them. And I always iterate that can't mean in your pantry because you may have to go quickly.
Yeah.
So you should have a small bag that has like, I have mine separated out as like a food section.
Yeah.
And then a section that's got like weather dependent things. So in the winter, it's got like a little shovel, some blankets, some things that are going to get you through if you're over on the side of the road. And then I can throw that portion in my trunk of my car.
Right.
If it was summer, I wouldn't probably need that, but maybe you need to have some sunscreen and some other things that you would deem necessary to keep in there.
Yeah.
The place I tell everybody to go to, getprepared.ca.
Yeah.
So that's a federal resource that lines out all of the things that you should think about.
Yeah.
And then there's another version on the Emergency Management Ontario website. If you Google Emergency Management Ontario and a 72-hour kit,
Yeah.
and they'll give you, and they're very, very similar, but it just gives you an idea of what to think about.
Yeah.
So,
And it's stuff that you just seems so obvious once you look at the list and you're like, oh, of course. Yeah.
the most common thing is a 72-hour kit is going to allow you, if there was an infrastructure failure,
Yeah.
you could stay stable in your home
Yeah.
and function for 3 days.
Yeah.
But if we came and someone knocked on your door and said, we have to get you to go somewhere else,
Yeah.
you can grab that bag very quickly and you can leave.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're going to be almost self-sustainable for 72 hours.
Yeah.
The real important thing to say, and I'm not naive enough to say, not everyone can afford to just put aside food.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford to put aside all of these things.
Yeah.
So think of it as your societal obligation. You're doing that.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's some people that can't. And then our emergency resources may get dedicated to the individuals who are unable to help themselves.
Yeah.
In that moment, we may be helping people that are struggling.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that they get the shelter for that night at the gardens or wherever
Yeah.
that ends up being, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what are some common gaps you see when it comes to emergency preparedness? And that could be like generic. But.
Ooh, well, it's a good question.
Yeah.
So obviously you cannot plan. So the idea is to make the plans generic enough that they can adjust to the need.
Yeah.
But specific enough that they will resolve whatever you're trying to resolve.
Yeah.
And that's where the EOC, when we go back to the question you asked earlier, why are certain departments in certain roles?
Yeah.
because they have very, very specific skill sets after years and years of doing those jobs, and they understand a lot of the infrastructure internal to the city, how to repair or what is going to be required to repair. And then we know that we can keep that continuity of government in place.
Yeah.
The hardest thing will be if we had a significant enough event like Lytton, BC from a few years back,
Yeah.
you lose your municipality's ability to function and meet the needs of the day.
Yeah.
So then suddenly now you're not able to even just do the basic, like a car accident or an emergency.
Yeah.
That's a very small emergency that one of the groups would be able to handle.
Yeah.
They're too tied up because the resources are struggling to meet the
Right.
needs of the moment, right?
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is to try to mitigate that as best you can.
Yeah, for sure. Just looking at this year's wildfire season, are there any takeaways that stand out for you?
Huge. One that's huge.
Yeah.
So my first phone call came around 4 in the afternoon. That first night, we were probably planning with the province till about 3 a.m., trying to assist with communities that were being like immediately like life or limb evacuation. It's happening right now, or they're already en route. When that was going on, I would say within less than 24 hours, we were getting community businesses were reaching out, asking how they could assist, how they could help. I tell the guys internally at work, I was like really heartwarming to see Thunder Bay. We don't always get the best PR.
Yeah.
Certainly from my perspective, I fielded so many phone calls where people were trying to donate time, donate resources, donate. And I thought it really was an eye-opener to me how much people care about their neighbors.
Right.
And that's really what it is about at the time, right?
Yeah.
So it was that was a huge takeaway. And then the next big takeaway was once it became, we'll say, international, once it started going to,
Right.
the smoke is going to go into Michigan and we knew there was going to be an impact, how far-reaching the media empire was in reaching out.
Right.
Like we were being asked to be on everything from
New York Times.
to New York Times to Good Morning America to, a whole host of different, and every single person wanted a quote or a soundbite that they could put on.
Yeah.
And so we're not impacted by it today in the same way. The wildfires are still going on in northwestern Ontario. We still have a significant issue.
Yeah.
But certainly the media has moved on because France and Spain were hit hard the next week. Right now there's a significant impact in British Columbia, Washington State into Oregon. So there's pockets in North America that are clearly taking the media attention right now.
Yeah.
But if you were to look at satellite maps, there's significant fires across the continent right now.
Yeah, there are for sure. Yeah. So, is there anything about emergency preparedness that you wish more people understood?
Okay, so the easiest way for me to look at this is if I draw the analogy to fire. So we have a suppression side, that's the response side. So when an event happens, suppression firefighters are going to go out and they're going to try to prevent further damage to anything, life, property. We're going to try to do our best to save. That is response. There is the previous area, which is prevention and mitigation.
Yeah.
Some people will put those two together. Some will say they're significantly different. Prevention and mitigation is what you do to try to avoid the issue. So huge for anybody that's semi-rural in Thunder Bay. Get on the Fire Smart website. Learn how to harden your property. Do the things that make your property defensible and easy for the fire to basically move on without damaging your property.
Okay.
There's a lot of great tips. Common thing that we see a lot of people do, they make their nice flower beds full of mulch.
I'm guilty of that, yeah.
Clearly very flammable.
Yes.
Might want to consider rocks or some type of native plants that are not going to be, say, as impacted by a wildfire.
Okay.
But more than importantly, keeping that barrier to your home to the urban interface. So if you have a yard that you're like, I like to live semi-rural, I like that my house backs onto the forest, that's fine. But maybe have that spacing between where your house is and the forest far enough away that you don't have to be concerned if a wildfire comes through. Right?
Yeah.
Huge, huge, huge. FireSmart has been around for a number of years.
Yeah.
And it's supported by lots of agencies across North America.
Yeah.
It's a great way for anybody to do not the response side, but the prevention and mitigation side.
Yeah.
So you can prepare your property
Yeah.
to help avoid some of the damage that could happen.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, right? You want to protect what
Yeah.
what is probably your most significant investment in your life is your home.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many semi-rural homes.
Yep, absolutely.
Rural homes in Thunder Bay. So, okay. And finally, is there any one message that you'd like residents to take away from this? And what would it be? Loaded question.
Loaded question. Well, so 72-hour kit, getprepared.ca.
Yeah.
If you own property, FireSmart. So Google FireSmart, figure out how to harden your property and how to help prevent and mitigate anything. That could be flooding, that could be fires, it could be wind events. We often joke in the fire service that the building code gets built around or the fire code gets built around when there's a perceived problem.
Yeah.
Legislation comes in to fix or avoid that happening in the future.
Right.
This is an opportunity where the homeowners can take that upon themselves and say, I'm going to have all of these things in place to put my home in the best location or the best possible position.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that if something does happen, I have as much prevention and mitigation done as I could possibly do.
Yeah.
And then potentially the city has some prevention and mitigation in place, and that'll hopefully avoid ever having to go to the response.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And following credible sources.
Yes. The one last thing I say, we
Yeah.
didn't talk much about recovery.
Okay.
Recovery can look different for different events.
Okay.
So clearly, my heart goes out to the people of Collins First Nation, for example. Their struggle is really just beginning because the recovery phase for them is a lot different than the recovery phase for a group of individuals that were evacuated from their community but came back and their houses were still there.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing to think about is in the emergency management world, we talk about prevention and mitigation to avoid those costly recoveries. Mm-hmm. If we do a good job at prevention and mitigation, hopefully response and recovery aren't needed as much.
Yeah.
Internal to our city, we have a climate adaptation specialist, Jacob Porter.
Yeah.
Great guy, quite knowledgeable about a lot of the things. He does help me a lot on the emergency management side to help from infrastructure and operations. He has some great numbers to show, and you can Google these numbers. Costs to insurance companies, costs to communities, costs to provincial governments, costs to federal governments over, say, the last 30 years caused by climate.
Yeah.
And they are significantly increasing, and there's no current leveling off of those costs.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Well, so much great information. That's a wrap for today. A big thanks to you for helping our community and residents stay safe, and thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
No problem. I appreciate you having me on.
That's it for this week's episode of The Minutes. A big thank you to Robert Wark for his updates. And as always, thanks to you for listening. If you want more information about City Council agendas or minutes, visit thunderbay.ca/council. You can catch the minutes every week wherever you get your podcasts, on our YouTube channel or on our website, thunderbay.ca/theminutes. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. I'm Amy. Thanks again for listening to The Minutes and have a great week.